in feelings. Thank you, ladies. Between feelings and emotions and colors, and of course, when we talk about colors at the end of the story, we are talking about gemstone. As always, now you know me. I like always to move between the lines. So I like to talk about technical aspects of the gemstones. So we will touch also technical aspects of the gemstones, mainly the origin of color, of course, not in deep. And also, we are going to talk also about just a bit of the grading, how to grade or how to look at gemstones to understand color gemstones to understand the quality of the gemstone itself. Okay, just for you to have an idea about our list of topic, here we may have our introduction, our summary. So we will talk about the human emotion and the symbolism. We try even if it's very difficult because it's not a sure matter, but we try to create some links between colors and feelings, between colors and emotions, and why not between feelings and emotions related to a specific color. As I anticipated before, we will also talk about the origin of the color, and why not for the stones we are going to target today, also in rarity and the geographical origin, at least the most important sources. Again, talking about our stones, the stones we are going to target today, always red and pink, of course also purple. We are going also to paint some romanticism. What do I mean? I mean, we try to bring out some myths, some legends, or some believings surrounding that stones. Okay, and as I told you also before, please feel completely free at the end of our session to ask me whatever you have in your mind. Okay. Uh, um, I know, please don't get distracted by the beauty of Elena in the picture. But since we are talking about emotions, starting with the beauty is a good starting. We may say that color, all the colors, or literally all the colors, can be, or we may consider them as the language of the emotions. Even in our way to say, if I'm very upset, if I'm very pissed off, I may say, I see red. Okay. So we have this kind of bond, or exists this kind of bond between feelings, emotions, mainly emotions, and colors. But this is not something of our modern society, or if you prefer, civilization. It's something coming very from the past. And let me also underline that there is a strict bond between emotions and feelings and also gemstone, what we may consider as a gemstone. It's enough to think that since from the dawn of our human civilization, or human, we may say, first day in our planet, we start thinking to use items and to give a symbol or to symbolize something with that items. The first gemstones we know, for example, are bones, teeth, feathers. Okay. And then, of course, we evolve, the human evolves, and also our feelings and emotions, our like, our taste in terms of object to put around or to wear evolves with ourselves. Why the colors are hitting so deep all of us? Because they are, let's say, they speak in somehow directly to our subconscious. Okay, even without having a surrounding of words and I don't know, ratio, logic, whatever. A color is literally a bullet hitting directly our subconscious, our heart, in somehow able also to put aside our way to think, our way to elaborate the information. Most of the time, we are pleased by an object only because there is a specific color, and we don't even know that. We don't realize it. Okay, and this is a very, I would say, important. Let's call it language, even during a sales moment. Okay, because if we are able to read in somehow the psychology of the person, we can always offer or propose following the mood of the person, the right item or the right color or a gemstone, whatever it is, with a specific color. Um, at the end of the stone, I'm sorry, at the end of the story, what is making the stones so close to the emotions? Okay, we talk about colors, but there is something else, an added value, let's say, that are giving to the stones more relevance. Yes, yes, because we perceive all the gemstones as crystals or minerals. For us, even if we are not specialized in that, for us, a mineral or a crystal is something coming from very, very, very past. We know, without even studying, as we said, that a crystal formed or took to form millions of years. So it's something grows slowly, 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 resembling the perfection. I I really like this step, this part, because crystals are my passion, and it's easy for me to talk about crystals. Okay, let's enter a little bit more inside the colors and the feelings and mainly the emotions. As we said, every color is giving us, is hitting us in some specific way, determining a reaction in terms of emotions, and why not also in feelings. But first we start commenting this image, this slide. I want to do another introduction, very, very important. I want to clarify how in gemology we approach the colors, the famous rainbows colors or the color of the spectrum. In gemology, we always consider as a hue, so as a color at the end, seven hues. And the seven hues are, I'm following the order of the spectrum, are the red, here, the orange, then we have the yellow, which is not in the text, but we have also the yellow. Then we have the green. Then we have the blue. Then we have the violet. And finally, we have the purple. Mm? Some example. Let's start with some example of stones. Red, ruby, par excellence, obviously. Orange, I may mention the spessartite, the garnet. Green, emerald. Oh, I jumped the yellow. Yellow, I may say the citrine quartz, the topaz, for example. Uh, Blue, sapphire, violet, iolite. I like to mention iolite, not so famous gemstone. Purple. Again, when we talk about purple, we may talk about amethyst, the quartz. Okay. And then pink, white, and black. What are they? Basically, once we consider the seven hues, we have also to consider two more factors, the tone and the saturation. When a hue or a combination of hues is going to lose saturation, it's going to take two other, let's say, colors we didn't mention until now. We are talking about brown and gray. The saturation is the strength, the intensity of the hue. And we used to divide the hues into categories, the warm hues and the cool hues. The warm hues are basically red, orange, yellow, and partially also the purple. When the warm hues are going to lose intensity and so on, saturation, they are going to gain brown, brownish, or even brown. If a stone is purely brown, it means that behind that color, there was a proper hue or a combination of hues. Among the cool hues, we have the green, we have the blue, and we have the violet, partially also the purple. When a cool hue is going to lose intensity, again, or saturation, it's going to take gray. If you think a little, it's very common to see combination, for example, between gray and blue, gray and green, or purple and red. Just to mention one very, very, very famous diamond. The Hope diamond is a grayish blue, where in that grayish, there is already a description of the saturation. Okay, not really low, not really medium, let's say medium high saturation, just short enough, let's say, to have to show that component of grayish. So we talk about hue, we talk about saturation. Let's also talk about the tone. What is the tone? The tone is a scale between dark and light, or if you prefer, between white and black. So, for example, the tone can describe a hue. I may say my red is dark, my red is light, my red is medium dark. Same I can say for the blue, the violet, and so on. If uh, if the tone is extreme, we may have colorless stones. If they are opaque, white stones. If again the tone is extreme in the other direction, in the opposite direction, we may have black stones, black gemstones. Okay, and pink, now more or less we understood the brown, we understood the gray, the white, the black, and the pink. From where is coming the pink? The pink is a combination between medium tone and medium saturation, medium high saturation of the red and the purple, or a combination of red and purple. Okay, also let me spot out this other information because we can understand each other better. All the hues following the spectrum, as we said, no? From red till violet, or if you prefer, even till purple, can combine themselves, but only the adjacent hues. What do I mean? They may coexist in an object also only if they are adjacent. So red and orange are adjacent. So I may have a reddish orange gemstone as I may have an orangey red gemstone. Same story I can do for purple and red, because purple and red also can be adjacent, especially if we imagine the spectrum as a wheel and not as a line. And so it's coming out, for example, the fine color of ruby. If I have a ruby slightly purplish red, we are exactly in the top of the top when we talk about the color of a ruby. Okay, so remember, pink is just a matter of a combination of red and purple, only red or only purple, or red and purple together with a low medium tone and with a medium high, more medium, I would say, saturation. Okay, said that, now we can also play a little with the feelings, with the emotions. I'm not going to ask you what is the hue or the color you prefer. For me, my favorite color is red. So I'm very happy today talking about the red gemstones. Why? Why red is my favorite color, but why red is also a very important color for all of us, because we cannot be indifferent when we see something red. I can also combine this color with the cars, no? Yeah, I mean, we always have particular attention if we see a Ferrari, red Ferrari in the street. Why? Because red means intensity, means something bring at extreme level. And when we talk about passion, when we talk about love, we are exactly talking also about passion. Or the desire, the pure desire. Of course, when we talk about this kind of emotions, remember also we have also the negative emotions. Red also is the color of the anger, for example. I did the example before. When I'm really pissed off, I may say I see red because I'm full of anger. Okay. On the other side, for example, we may have the green. The green is exactly the opposite. It is a color that can calm down the people. In fact, it's often used in the hospitals, in the wall of the hospitals, as a color or as a painting color, no, for the wall. But in the same time, why the people, for example, may like emerald, the green color of an emerald, because there is harmony, or there is a sense of harmony in that color. And then remember, the emerald, for example, is not simply blue. The fine color of emerald is a slightly bluish green. Okay, so not only there is the sense of harmony coming from the green, but there is also the feeling of something endless, the eternity coming from the touch of bluish in the emerald. Okay, for example, for the people who is more introverts or more melancholic, the blue can be the favorite color because, just let me use the mouse, because blue can also be the symbol of melancholy because it's the kind of emotions we may perceive, we may feel. Or if we look at the past, for example, so we can try to go back to our main colors of today. So to the love. So if you look at the past, for example, the typical color for the royal families, um, but not also for the high grades, high levels in any kind of, even in the Christian church, for example, in the Catholics church, it was the purple. The first of all the purple, and then the violet, and then back to the purple. Okay, and thanks to that, today purple is connected to what we may call spirituality. But because it was, let's say, the color of the high levels profiles in the Catholic Church, and not only, to be honest, not only that, but for the same reason, can be connected to the mystery. Um, Again, we are not talking about, sorry, I didn't say that before. Let me say now, because I want to be very precise in this. We are not talking about things like crystallotherapy, or I don't know, I can heal the person with the color of the crystals. Please, this is not our topic. Okay, we are all you can see here in this image is coming from articles I've been studying, of course, for the occasion. The article per peer review articles I got on online on specialized websites. So they are coming from a long study involving thousands of people and thousands of reactions of people. Okay. Okay. Let's jump, as I told you also before, also to the technical topics. One more time, I like to 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 dig a little, no, in this case in our color stones, and I'd like to mention, because we cannot go so side, but I like to mention also the reasons, the causes of colors in the different species and varieties of gemstones. At the end of the story, if we really want to take out from the list also we have there, if we want really to take out two causes of color, the two most responsible causes, origin of colors, we have to talk about the transition chemical elements. It's a specific kind, let's say that, of chemical elements. They are called transition because more or less they are in the middle of the periodic table. And this kind of transition elements, mostly are metals, can interact directly with the light and can cause some colors in the gemstones. Sometimes these transition elements are present in the crystal as a trace element. What does it mean, trace? Trace element means they don't belong at all at the formula chemica or the chemical formula of the crystal. They are uninvited guests, we may say that. But even if they are uninvited guests, they can give origin to the color. It's the case of ruby, for example. Ruby, the chemical formula of ruby is very easy. It's aluminum and oxygen. Very, very easy. But if there is uninvited chromium, the chromium there can produce the red we love, we like so much. And funny, but the same story is for emerald. The chemical formula of beryl is a little bit more complicated, but same story. If there is an invited chromium in the crystal, the beryl can be green or can be bluish green and can be the beautiful emerald we know. All the stones not having the transition element, or let's say the origin of color in terms of chemical elements in the formula, are called allochromatic. So if there is not trace elements at all, they could be simply colorless, simply white or colorless. Another example, if you want, is the diamond. If the diamond doesn't have nitrogen, doesn't have boron, doesn't have nickel or other chemical elements, it's colorless, simply colorless. If there is boron as a trace elements, then the diamond is blue, or it could be blue, for example. Okay. Sometimes the chemical elements, the transition chemical elements, can be inside the formula chemica of the crystal. And then in that case, we talk about adiochromatic crystal. Adio and allo are coming from the ancient Greek. Allo means others, while idio means the same. Same of what? Same, I mean, inside the formula chemica. One of the example can be peridot. Or if we like, peridot is green. Iron is the chemical element. Or if we like, I don't know, malachite, just to mention a not so common stone, In malachite is the copper, and copper it can be inside of chemical formula. What's telling you if I have to pick up, two main, extremely main reasons. One is the transition element, and exactly what we said until now. The other one is the last of our list. It's basically the plastic deformation and the distortion the plastic deformation may cause in the crystal lattice. Mm? Don't think these two regions of color are completely separate. They can be there together. Even a trace element could be the origin of a deformation in the crystal. Okay. Other reasons are always more or less related to the transition elements, mainly in as a trace element, but not only, let's mention them, the charge transfer. This is the case, for example, of the beautiful heliodor. The heliodor is another variety of the species beryl. Remember, beryl is the same species of emerald. So heliodor and emerald somehow are relatives. Then we have the intervalence charge transfer, and this is the case of aquamarine. Aquamarine is another relative of emerald and heliodor, because again, aquamarine belongs to the species of beryl. And it's also the case of sapphire. Remember, sapphire is a relative of ruby. Both of them, ruby and sapphire, are two varieties, one red and one blue, of the species corundum. Okay. When we talk about transfer, what are we talking about? When we talk about charge transfer, direct or intervalence charge transfer, we are talking about subatomical particles, mainly electrons, moving, jumping between one chemical element and the next one or the next one. Okay. Okie dokie. By the way, my favorite color is red. But ruby is not my favorite stone, my favorite gemstone. I will tell you at the end my favorite gemstone, but it's not ruby. Also, my colleagues are forcing me to tell you about my personal love stories. Again, I won't tell you anything about my personal love stories. Not today, at least. Okay, let's go. Let's be technical again a little bit, because I want also to touch another very important topic when we talk about gemstone. It's the grading. We are very used to the diamond grading, the famous 4Cs, etc. But there is also a grading for the color gemstones. It's very important. It's not so, let's say, so well known as this grading system for diamond, but it's there. And it's mainly related exactly to the color. Before I use the expression fine color for ruby, fine color for emerald. Sapphire also is coming with a fine color. Doesn't mean it's the only color, but it's the top of the top. When we say fine, it's the best of the best. So this is the first, let's say, element when we grade colored gemstones. Of course, we have to know the identity of the stone, if it is a ruby, an emerald, peridot, amethyst, whatever it is. And when we identify the stone, we must also know what is the fine color for that kind of stone. Otherwise, we don't have a parameter to judge, to go ahead with the grading. Okay. Also, very, very important is the cut. I'm not talking about the shape. The stone can be oval, can be round, can be square, can be whatever you like. It's okay. But I'm talking about the critical angles. Again, we know very well the critical angle of diamond. We know very well how it is important for diamond proportions, for the polisher, etc. But the same can be imported also in colored gemstones, with only very one big difference. For every single species of gemstone, we have a specific critical angle. So if I'm a polisher, I'm a cutter first, and then a polisher of colored gemstones, I must know the critical angle of the crystal I'm going to first cut and then polish. Otherwise, my job is not very well done. Otherwise, I may meet problems when we talk about light leakage. What does it mean? This is a very technical expression. Light leakage means how from where first the light is coming out from the stone, and also in terms of quantities, the majority, of course, we talk about the majority of the lights coming out from the stone. What we want in every single gemstones, including diamond, is always that the light enters from the crown, at least a couple of reflections in the pavilion, and then it's going to be refracted or it's going out again from the crown. Why? Because our eyes are exactly looking at the crown of the stone. In this way, our eyes can intercept the light. And our eyes, the nerve in our eyes can elaborate the message in terms of color. Okay. For example, in this first stone here, the red one here, we have a very good, or I would say also very excellent cut. But if I move to the second stone, we may see a lot of dark. These areas, dark areas, are called extinction, and it's due exactly to a problem to the cut let's use this expression. Let's take this expression from diamond. It's due exactly to the proportions of the cut in this stone, because the light, where we see black, basically the light is going out from the pavilion and not coming back to our eyes. It's something we don't like. We don't want it. At least not so much in a stone. Let's take in consideration the third example. So we mentioned also the other, I would say, negative situation. What we call the windowing or window effect. What is, in this case, the reason of the windowing, and what is the windowing, of course? The windowing is happening when I see the central part of the stone, I look at it, and I see perfectly behind the stone. If it looks like the stone is acting like a piece of glass. It's also called glassy effect, in fact. And why it's happening? Because the light, again, is going out from the pavilion, jumping on what is on the back of the stone, and then entering again in the stone and hitting my eyes. So in a very well gemstone, I don't want windowing. I want to see very less extinction. More or less like the stone, the ruby, all of them are rubies here. Like the ruby you can see in the first position. Okay. No, it's not a matter of colors, combination of colors. Just purely matter of light leakage. Okay, now let's enter in our list of stones of the day, so we can also talk a little bit more about the red, the emotions, the other colors, of course, and the feelings. But also, again, we can be technical talking about a single gemstone. Let's start with the ruby. We already said a lot about ruby, but let's take everything back and let's harmonize everything. First of all, so to be very strict to the rules. The species is corundum and the variety is ruby. What is identifying the varieties is exactly the color, sometimes the transparency, and also the phenomenon, like the one you can see here in this beautiful star ruby. This star ruby is one of the most famous at all. But imagine to symbolize the red, so the passion and the loving meaning of passion, and the star is another very important symbol for romanticism. And to combine everything in one single gemstone. It's a very strong message we are giving. Not only the stones we are giving, but the moment we gift such kind of stone, we are also giving a very important, hidden, I would say, message. Okay, in particular, this beautiful ruby here, star ruby here, is the long star ruby. It also has a very, very fascinating history, because in the middle of the previous century, if I remember well, we are in the 1964, the ruby was in a museum in the Smithsonian, and it was stolen, completely stolen. And together with other gemstones, with other very important gemstones. And then to take it back, there was a ransom. So imagine that. Uh, if I remember well, 1 year later or 2 years later, someone asked for the stone, and there was a ransom to pay. In that moment, so in the 60s of the previous century, the price of this ruby, we're talking about more than 100 carats, that was the ransom at least was $25,000. Today, maybe it's the price per carat. I don't know. Basically, it's a stone without a price. It's priceless. But I can imagine that if someone would like to buy it, it's just a matter of, told you, of 20, 25 or something like that per carat, not per stone. Um, Talking about corundum and specifically about ruby, also here, let's put some technical points. First, ruby, to be ruby, or whatever, if you prefer, I may say a corundum, to be a ruby must be red. Careful, I'm not saying pink, I'm saying red. So it means that I cannot accept any kind of deviation in terms of saturation and tone going toward pink. Okay. Then the red can be combined, I mean, can coexist with also other hues like purple. So we said also before, purplish red. And from the 2000, more or less 2000 something, also with the orange, orangey red. But dominant hue, no discussion at all, must be red. If I have, I don't know, let's do an example. Purple red corundum, it's not a ruby, never in the life, because the purple is dominant 50% with the red. So no way. No way. Dominant must be only one hue and must be the red. Finished. L'orangey, it has been accepted, let's say that, also by the gemmological community, because I told you, more or less, we were around 2000, 2006, something like that. Many corundum were coming from the East Africa, Tanzania in that moment. One of the locality was very famous in that moment. It was Windsor. Still today is important locality, of course. Windsor. And all the corundum coming from Windsor were coming with this orangey modifying hue in the color. So at the end, I told you, also the community, the geological community, or the organism in the community, decided to include in the list of colors for ruby also the orangey red. But since more than 50, 60 years, even more, sorry, I would say also more than 100 years, the fine color of a ruby, so the top of the top color of a ruby is red I'm reading, so you can do the same, is red to slightly purplish red with medium to medium dark tone and vivid saturation. When we say vivid saturation, we are talking about non mention at all of brown, or not even an idea or a feeling of brown or brownish. Okay. Maybe you heard in the marketplace many dealers saying pigeon blood. Ecco, the pigeon blood is, or should be at least, the slightly purplish red. I'm not a fan of this kind of definition of the color because for a very easy reason, because I never seen a fresh throat cut pigeon. So I don't know the color of the blood that just spilling out from the fresh cut. So that's why I don't like to use this kind of definition. We already mentioned that the chemical elements giving the color to the ruby is chromium. Chromium is not only responsible for the red, it's also responsible for the fluorescence. In fact, normally the rubies having a lot of chromium can also show very strong red fluorescence. And the red fluorescence can also increase the perception of the red to our eyes. Let me say something important. If the chromium is not enough, in the corundum. We may not have red and so ruby, but we may have another color, another combination of colors. We may have pink. Okay, and here, for example, we have one of the endless fight between labs and dealers. Where is the limit between pink, sapphire, and the ruby? Mm. Another chemical element possible to see, to find inside the ruby is the iron. Basically, the presence of iron is related to the kind of geological origin of the ruby, if it is metamorphic or if it is magmatic. Just to be clear, if it is metamorphic, we have a low amount of iron in the ruby. If it is magmatic, we may have a high amount of iron in the ruby. The iron can produce a darker tone and can also induce or increase the purplish component, and in the same time can reduce the fluorescence. Mm. Okay, okie dokie. If we open the meaning of ruby, even I would say crossing different periods of the human civilization. So from the first moment we discovered the ruby, we discovered the red, I would say, not the ruby, because we didn't know it was a ruby. We didn't know it was aluminum and oxygen. But we immediately fall in love with the red. Why? Again, from what we said, because the red is really the color that the red exists. Let's also try to give a more scientific explanation. The color exists in a range in terms of wavelengths, nanometers, between 620 and 750. And our retinal cones, so the nerves in our eyes, are very sensitive to this in this range of wavelengths. So that's why the red is so important for the humans. We may also say for the same reason that the red is the color that commands the highest prices in every single species. What do I mean when I specify in every single species? I mean that if in a species we have a red variety, that red variety can have the highest prices or the highest value compared to the other varieties. Exactly what's happening in corundum. Ruby is coming with the highest value compared to the other corundum, like sapphire, pink sapphire, yellow sapphire, and so on. Okay, so that is also that ruby, in any case, is the most famous and the most valuable gemstones, colored gemstones we know, because it's red. Mm? And why since from our ancestor, let's say that, the red is so important. Well, we have the scientific explanation, but following the scientific explanation, there is also one more reason, because we connect immediately the red of the ruby, the slightly purplish red of the ruby, with the color of the blood. And the blood means today, as it was meaning in the past, simply life. And life, he is exactly experiencing any kind of emotions and feelings, even on daily basis. Mm. Uh, for example, if I look back, let's say in India, in India was considered the simple fact that to see a ruby bleeding meant that someone was going to attack the person wearing that ruby, or there was a situation of danger. Of course, I don't know if it's possible to see a ruby bleeding. Okay, if we go closer to us and look at my ancestor, let's say, I mean the Romans and the Roman Empire, uh, the ruby was considered a symbol of wealth, but in somehow was considered a symbol of power, the power of bonding, for example, bonding two individuals. I'm not talking about wedding, because especially in the past, a wedding was just a matter of agreement. Okay, I'm talking about pure passions, pure emotions. Mm? Following the love considered as emotions. The Greek should say the eros, not the agapo. I don't know if you know Greek, but I like a lot the Greek. So, because the Greek words can mean many things. eh? Um, Again, if we look at the Europe, the Middle Age Europe, so we are in the medieval Europe, very close to the 1000, the year 1000, even just a little bit before. The ruby was linked, again, we didn't know it was a ruby. Yeah, we are talking about the red of ruby, let's say that. It was linked to the blood again, but of a dragon. What was considered the blood coming from a whip, from a wound, or in any case, from a dragon. Mm? So they were connected. And even in the Greek mythology, so you go again back in time, the famous myth of Medusa, the Gorgon, is bound to the red. In time, this red evolved in the red of the coral, the calcareous coral we have in the Mediterranean Sea. But it really at the origin, because I like a lot the history and I like a lot the mythology, so I'm always reading and studying these things. At the origin, that's the kind of red, the red of the blood of Medusa, was exactly the red of so-called today ruby. Mm? Okay. I remember it's Perseus. Perseus cut the head of Medusa, and from the cut head of Medusa, the blood is spilling out, creating drops of, again, initially rubies and then the red coral. But also we have an image about the red coral, so we will take it back. Let's meet another variety of corundum. So again, it's a relative of ruby. We talk about the famous Padparashta, a very beautiful corundum, extremely beautiful corundum. This image is not giving justice to the Padparasha because the Padparasha must, so no discussion about, must be orange and pink. 50-50. No pinkish orange, not orangey pink. I know if there are dealers here, they will kill me in the questions and answer. I'm ready to take your concerning. But if we follow the tradition, Parparasha must be 50-50, orange and pink. And I tell you also why. Parparasha is coming, the name is coming from the island of Sri Lanka. It's a Sinhala word. Originally, it was Padmaraga and then evolved in Padparasha. And it refers to the color possible to see when we are at the beginning of the dawn, when the sun is when the sun is rising. So if you don't believe that the color are pink and orange, stay awake or put your alarm tomorrow morning very early, find a place where you can admire the sky, and you will see the Padmaraga. I mean, the combination of orange and pink giving also the name to the Padparasha. In terms of marketplace, the most important source for Padparasha was at least still today Sri Lanka, but not only. There is also a good amount of stones coming from East Africa again. The problem I was telling you in the marketplace is that the majority of the stones coming from East Africa have not a balance between pink and orange. Some of them are coming with more orange than pink or vice versa. So we are in a moment where the trade or the traders are pushing to include in the variety of Parparasha also this kind of declination of the color, so orangey and pinkish. But till today, again, must be orange and pink together. The right mix of orange and pink together. Of course, even for the Parparasha, no way to see brown, no way to see so medium low saturation, no way at all, zero. It's important, maybe for the Western culture, but Parasha is not among the most important stones. But for the East culture, tradition, yes, it is. It means basically that pink and orange together, again, coming from the blossom, the lotus blossom, you can see also in the picture here, means the renewal, the strength to start again, the strength to do the step and to have a new beginning, whatever it is, life, love, work, whatever it is. Mm, Okay. Okay, let's go to the pink. Of course, we choose among the pink stones as the first one to talk about the pink sapphire. Uh, Pink is the color of the heart. So if red, we may say, it's the color of the blood, pink, we may say it's the color of the heart, the symbol of a pure love. Mm? Not simply the passion between two individuals. We're talking really about, in this case, the agapo, the Greek agapo, the love. Okay. In fact, it's very common to gift the pink gemstone not only to a partner, but also, at least it was a very old tradition in Europe, to gift a pink stone to a newborn baby. In the past, it was even the opposite: pink for the boys and blue for the ladies. And then, certain moment, they upside down: pink for ladies and blue for the boy. Why? Because it's somehow the pink is a symbol of innocence. As we said before, the pure love. The pure love, the love between two humans, but not the passion love, not the physical love. Okay. Um, the pink sapphire is a relative, again, of ruby and paparasha at the end of the story. The only difference in this corundum is the medium low amount of chromium, not enough to develop a nice, beautiful red, but enough to develop, to give the existence to a nice pink, like the one we may see here. Red beryl, let's change the species. Let's go to the species of beryl. Remember, the species of beryl is the species of emerald. So this red beryl is a relative, if you like the idea, of emerald. The color is due not to chromium now, not chromium. It's due to manganese. It's possible also the presence of chromium. It's possible also to have an influence, we may say, of chromium. But from what the data we have, we may say that manganese is the most responsible for such beautiful red. Look at this red. Again, it's very intense, very beautiful. There is a problem. This red beryl, or also called the Bix bite, you see here the technical, the mineralogical name here, Bix bite. It's very difficult to find. Basically, we may say that every 150,000 gem quality crystals mined, so taken from the ground, only one, I mean, 150,000 of red beryl, mined from the ground, only one can become a gemstone. So imagine the ratio. It's crazy. So the gemstone, of course, it's a rare in nature, the crystal, sorry. It's a rare in nature, but when we talk about the gemstone coming from the rough crystal, it's even rarer than. Okay. And up to today, we know only one location in the world where we can take at least one among 150,000. And we are in Utah, in the US, and it's called the Wawa Mountains. I'm not repeating because I'm crazy. This is the name, Wawa, Wawa Mountains. Okay. In terms of history and tradition, we may say that this kind of crystal, this kind of gemstone too, is relatively recent. It's not so, we don't have to go too much far in time because we don't have any mention in the chronicles or the ancient books. But in the same time, remember, we are talking about the red. So whatever we said about ruby can also be said also about the red beryl. Plus, there is a plus here, if you want. The plus is the extreme, the very extreme rarity of the gemstone. Okay, so can, in this case, you can also symbolize the unicity of the person you are going to gift with such kind of stone. Okay. Oh, sorry. Before I move ahead, let me stop on the text here, very at the bottom of the slide. Um Sometimes called raspberry red or red emerald. Hey, no. If we are describing the reds to a final consumer and we want to say raspberry because we want to be poetic, fine, no problem. But the red beryl is not a good way to mention the stone, to indicate the stone. Emerald is green, not red. So cannot be red emerald. No way. Okay. Red beryl, yes. Maybe I switched the terms, but you got my point, huh? Okay. Let's stay in beryl species. So we meet one more variety in the species of beryl, and we talk about morganite. Morganite is pink. Sometimes in the pink of the morganite, we may have a touch of orangey. So it can be orangey pink. Okay. Um, the most important source, geographical source of morganite is Brazil, but morganite can be found also in different places in the world. Minas Gerais is probably the most important, but let me mention also Afghanistan, Mozambique, so we can go also to the East Africa again, or we can travel to Namibia, so not only Brazil. Um, what is one of the good point of morganite? Can come in big size because the typical formation for the morganite is in a pegmatite. So it's not so difficult to find big size of beryl inside the, or in this case morganite, inside the pegmatite. Just to give you an idea, one of the largest crystals ever found was weighing something like 10 kg, rough crystal, was coming with a weight of 10 kg, 10 kilos. So a monster, really a monster crystal. The pink of the morganite always is always meaning, again, the love, but again, the love between two humans, not involving the physical, the passion, the love passion. Okay. It's following more or less what we said about the pink sapphire. It's in the same track. But let me say a but, because when we talk about morganite, we are talking about also the culture and the tradition of the South America. Of course, we're talking about Brazil, so we're not talking about all the entire South America, which is big. But it's interesting. So this is something maybe I am going to leave to you as a homework if you like the idea to explore. You can find out also nice traditions, nice uses coming from that region in the past, involving not only the morganite, to be honest, but involving all the berries, including emerald. By the way, we know no, that emerald, one of the most important source of emerald is Colombia. So we are always in South America. Okay, just a curiosity for the morganite. The name Morganite is coming from J.P. Morgan. J.P. Morgan was a very famous banker and financier, and even also a gem collectors from US. And but the stone has been discovered by another person, Kunz. We will see Kunz also in a few. Yes, G.H. Kunz discovered the morganite, or whoever discovered the crystal in the recent period and gave the name morganite in honor of Mr. Morgan. Mr. Morgan lived in the previous century. If I remember well, he died at the beginning of the previous. No, sorry, Mr. Morgan lived in the two centuries ago, and he died at the beginning of the previous century. Spinel. Spinel too is a very, I would say, very beautiful gemstone. Spinel can come in red, can come in pink, of course, can come also in other colors, like blue, for example, but let's stay on our colors. Sometimes the red of the spinel solid is the species. Then the variety, we call the variety following the color. So red, spinel, pink, spinel, and so on. But I was telling you, sometimes the red of the spinel can be similar or even sometimes the same of the ruby. In fact, in the past, it was very common. When I say past, I mean more than 2 centuries ago. It was possible to confuse ruby and spinel. There is one quality of spinel called ruby balascio, coming from a region at the border between Tajikistan and Afghanistan called Badakhshan. So the Badakhshan became in time Balascio. And one of the most famous ruby balascio and so on, red spinel, is exactly among the jewel of the British imperial state crown. Exactly above the calumet, to be precise. And it's not a ruby, it's a spinel, it's a red spinel. And it's called the Black Prince ruby, cioè the ruby of the Black Prince. Okay, something like 173, 70, 174 carats, something like that. Let's introduce also the tourmaline, pink and red. Tourmaline is considered a species, even here we have to put an asterisk, even if we really want to be precise, tourmaline should be considered a group and not a species. But let's follow the simplicity of the gemmology instead of the complexity of the mineralogy. Um, so the species is tourmaline, and then the varieties following or the color, like the pink one, the pear shape you can see there, or if it is red, we call it rubellite. Rub, it's the root of the word, the same root you find in ruby because it's coming from the Latin. Rub in Latin means red. For the tourmaline, we have, since the rubellite is easy to find, it's possible to find in South America. Again, we have to go to Brazil one more time. But we can go also in Asia. So we can go to Afghanistan, even Pakistan, or we can travel to Africa. So we can go to Nigeria, Mozambique, and even Madagascar. So we have different sourcing, as you can see, and so we have different traditions related to Rubellite. But at the end of the story, once you read all these traditions, you may see something in common. What is in common is the fact that the Rubellite is considered the stones of the courage, of the brave. If you are a brave person, or if you believe a friend of yours is a very brave person, Rubellite can be the stone because the symbol is exactly the courage. And also, it's the stone giving courage to the person. So if you have a friend facing a bad situation or a tough situation, a big challenge, tourmaline can be the stone. Okay. Okay. Pink tourmaline is more or less, let's say, a missing rubellite. Let me use this expression. What do I mean? It's a tourmaline with not enough intensity in the hue to become a rubellite. But the pink tourmaline, as you can see, is always having a tone that is not so light. It's if you compare it with the pink sapphire we saw before, you may perceive the tone is darker than the pink sapphire. And this is affecting also the perceiving of the people in terms, again, of emotions and feelings. In fact, the pink tourmaline is considered the symbol of success, of abundance. So you may succeed in your challenge, in what you are doing. Maybe you may succeed wearing a rubellite. And then once you succeed, fully succeed, you may enjoy the abundance, all the fruits coming from your challenge, wearing a pink tourmaline. Oh, don't think, let me also say that, because even if it is very personal, but I want to say it. There is not a gemstone for men and a gemstone for women. The gemstones are for everyone. doesn't exist a category. Even if as a human we insist, we like to give, to create basket categories where we put the things. No, a beautiful rubelite like this triangle you can see here can be for a man, can be for a lady, can be for everyone. It's always a matter at the end, if you prefer, it's a matter of design and how the jewelry items is designed. If the design is matching a man or the characteristics of a man, or matching the women and the characteristics of a women. Okay, okay, let me show you also one of my favorite stone, hmm? Kunzite, variety. Kunzite, and the species is the species of spodumene. I believe the spodumene is not so well known, not at least like spinel or like tourmaline and so on. But it's very beautiful. It's extremely dramatically beautiful. And the kunzite has a very particular pink. Why particular pink? Because the pink of kunzite is coming from the low medium condition of saturation and tone, not of the red, like it's happening for the sapphire or even for the tourmaline, but from the purple. So many, many times, if you have a chance to see a kunzite, please try to see it. You may see in the pink of the kunzite the presence of grayish. And you feel also the pink very cold, cold, meaning cold, the opposite of hot. Okay, exactly because it's coming from the purple, the cool or the cold purple. Remember, before we separate the use between warm and cool? So we are in the cool range, in the cool basket now. Okay. Kunz is having the name of J.H. Kunz. He was a gemmologist. Let me use this expression because I like it. He was a gemmologist of Tiffany. He discovered the crystal of kunzite, and he decided to give to the kunzite his name. The first, for the other one, the Morganite, he decided to honor the Mr. Morgan. In this case, he decided to honor himself. Okay. Garnets. We have many, many garnets, many pink, red, orange, many. Among all the garnets, again, garnet is a group. We have many species, like this red you can see here, where I am with the mouse. This is the almandite. Red, of course, but we may have also a very beautiful species called the pyroalmandite. So it's a mixed between the two. And one extremely fascinating variety, the rhodolite. Rhod is the root meaning pink. You may see also some plants called rhod something. Okay. So also in gemology we have a stone variety having in the name the root of meaning pink in ancient Greek. In Greek, not even ancient. The rhodolite, again, is a variety of the pyropalmandite species, and the species belongs to the group of garnet. The rhodolite must have purplish, or we may say must have purple, or dominant, or as a modifying hue. And normally, the component of purple can be also deviating toward the pink. So we may have a rhodolite like this one, where the red is dominant, or you may have a rhodolite like the one you can see here, the triangle you can see here, where there is a very strong purple presence. But it's crazy, crazy beautiful. Here you can see the meaning of rhod in ancient, in Greek, in the Greek language. Okay. And the rhodolite, even if we call it probably in different way in the past, was always associated with the protection. So wearing a rhodolite was always meaning to create a shield against any kind of negativity coming from the outside. Any kind, literally any kind, without thinking at demons or I don't know what, etc. But any kind of adversity could be a shield with just simply wearing a rhodolite. Rhodolite. Okay, it's a very common stone, or at least it was a very common stone. I don't know now the younger generations, but it was a very common stone. I mean, in the tradition of Russia. Okay, again for protection and courage. But if you again, if you like to know more, to dig these things, you may find a lot of stories, legends, myths about rhodolite in the Russian culture, in the Russian tradition. Uh, Something I would say very unique, very special. I'm talking about the zircon, because all of us probably we know that we know the zircon as the imitation of diamonds, but not simply that. Zircon is not simply the imitation of diamond. It's not only colorless. However, the colorless zircon in nature is it was not so common at the end of the story. Uh, Zircon can have different colors and can come also red. Oh, this is natural, eh? I'm not talking about the CZ, the synthetic PV zirconium. I'm talking about the zircon, the natural zircon. Also, just to be curious with you, just a curiosity for you. Also in Italy, there was a deposit of red zircon in the north of Italy. Well, very small size crystals. But when I was young and stupid, I was used to go there and look for the red zircon. Um, Red zircon, as you can see, it's dramatically beautiful, but as you can see, especially in the cushion shape, so this one here, you can see there is a component of purple, purplish most of the time. Unfortunately, the red zircon, it's very easy to find in nature, eh? With a brownish component. Sometimes also with a brown dominant. So it's not really a red zircon, but it's a brown zircon. So normally it could be reddish brown zircon. The stone we are looking here, it's a really beautiful one. It's one of the most beautiful red zircon ever. Okay. Um, One scientific fact, but it's very interesting from my point of view. What is giving the color to the zircon? Basically, we are talking about the chemical elements that only mentioning them we may feel some chill. We are talking about uranium, thorium, and of course, not on alone them because they are not enough, but also with the company of manganese again and or sorry, yes, manganese and or iron. So imagine the uranium of the thorium inside this kind of stones and add the beauty of it, the rarity of it, because it's also common to find the red zircon. What is the unlucky of the zircon is that majority of people doesn't know, not even that the zircon is a natural stone. So imagine if majority of people may know that it's coming also red, so beautiful, I would say red. Uh, okay. Again, you may find, I'm give you this kind of inputs if you really like. You may find some very interesting stories and legends and myths again about the red zircon. If you look at Cambodian and Vietnam uh, myths and legends. Okay. But there are not only Vietnam and Cambodia, mainly Cambodia, are not the only source of red zircon. We can go again to Africa, mainly Tanzania, but we can also travel to Sri Lanka. There are some deposits also there. And Burma too, to be honest. In fact, in the past, when I say past, I mean it, not a few years ago, but many years ago, many hundreds of years ago, our parents, let's say, our relatives were confusing the red zircon with the rubies. Okay. Let's close our travel, our journey in the stones, mentioning also the oxblood coral. The oxblood coral is the calcareous coral, when we say oxblood, we are using a trading or trade name, so it's better to call it simply red calcareous coral. Okay, also the calcareous coral, especially the red you can see here, is crossing all the ages of our modern civilization. We literally, if we start studying the presence of the red coral in our history, it's an endless job because you can find it basically everywhere, from the holy books to the ancient Greek mythology, Roman mythology, Roman real historical episodes, everywhere, everywhere, because it was considered a stone giving energy, giving the the strength, the strength, I mean, coming also from the heart. So in somehow also the courage to face big challenge. In this case, we talk, I mean, for the Romans, it was the brave, the courage to face a battle. So the fight. Okay. Why? Because the ancient Roman and also the ancient Greeks used to bond, to link the coral and the red coral to the blood of the Medusa, the Gorgon. Again. Okay, as I told you before, no, really the beginning. We may say that the blood of Medusa was related to rubies. Now, or now, later, it was the red coral. Also, if you like something very funny, because now we are in the Mediterranean Sea, because the Mediterranean Sea is the most important source of the red coral, but it's not the only one. For example, we have also red coral in India. And in India, it was called Mangala. Okay, Mangala. It was related to the Vedic astrology, for example. And that kind of tradition has been moved from India to Europe, for example. So the red coral, also in Europe, then in the second moment was bound to the planet Mars. Again, we are in the frame of the astrology and the pure frame of astrology. Okay, and Mars in astrology, what does it symbolize? Mars symbolized again the fight, the energy to fight any kind of situations, any kind of enemies, whatever it is. I mean, if it is a physical body enemies or if it is simply a challenge. Okay. Okay, let's close our journey now, the full seminar journey, also having an overview about the pink color, because we talk a lot about the red, of course, also about the pink, and somehow, yes, no, we give some meaning beyond the simple gemmological meaning, talking about the feelings and emotions these colors can innate or can ignite in us. But if we focus for a moment only on the pink, we may say that exactly for the feelings and mainly for the emotions, the pink can own in the humans. The pink color is growing in terms of presence, gemstones, okay, in the marketplace. It's not only hitting, we may say, the old generation, but also the new generations. I'm at the bottom of the slide. So, like, for example, the millennials and the famous Gen Z. Okay. Why pink? Why not red? Now I'm here in the young generation. Because the pink is lighter. Can be wear in a very easy way, easier at least than red. Okay, it can be combined also easier with different coloration, with different colors. In this case, I'm not meaning also other gemstones. I'm meaning also the clothes, the color of the clothes, for example. So it can be a color attracting also the attention, but in the same time easy to combine. Okay, and not by case very important brands, not only in the gemstone, so in the jewelry industry, but also in other industries like the fashion, luxury fashion industry, etc., are moving toward the pink or are trying to create a special design for the pink, starting from the pink color. Even for the bridal, where in the frame of a bridal or in the frame of a wedding, what is the most important color? Is white. And what is the color we can combine? We can put close the white. Is exactly the pink. Mm? Okay. Okay. Before I open the microphone for all of you, and you can shoot me a lot of questions. Let me remind you a special occasion for our education department, but the special occasion is for you. We will enjoy you if you use the special occasion, the 10% discount following the code you see there, GEM10, not for a long period, but if you like to know more about gemstones, about diamonds, about jewelry design, about all our courses at the end of the story, the closest are the one listed there, you can enroll and you can use this code GEM10 to obtain the 10% you see there. In the same time, if you really like to stay in contact, to stay tuned with HRD, don't hesitate to send a mail to contact us through the socials too, whatever, etc. It's really, for me personally, it's a great joy to interact with you. Even if I'm very slow, I know if you send me a chat, a WhatsApp, whatever, I know I will reply you in many in many days, but I will. I will. So feel free to do it. Feel free to contact me also personally. Okay. So let's take the next step together in our courses. And now let me stop sharing and so I can see you better and you can see me also better. Interrompi, I cannot stop the division. I don't know why, so I believe I will not stop it. Something is going wrong for me. But in any case, if my colleague is there, Anand, if you are there, can you on the microphone? Because it seems my Zoom is completely stuck. And I don't want to close anything. Anyone there? My dear colleagues? My dear colleagues, abandon us. Okay, we will do by ourselves then. Just be patient a little. Okay, we did it. Thanks, Anand. Thank you very much. Now, next step is the microphone for you. Attiva. Okay. Now you could be able to on the microphone to interact directly with me if you have any question. Anand, thank you very much for the help. Thanks a lot.
Yes, Mr. Fabio. Good evening.
Hi, hello.
How are you?
Okay, still alive.
That's great. It's a great evening. I got a lot of information. Thank you very much. And I have few of the questions for you. Yeah. Uh, the fluorescence, you know that it's a tracing minerals in the diamond. Is it any impact on the color gems, the fluorescence?
Yes, yes. May have positive, according to the, let's be very clear, otherwise we create some confusion. According to the modern approach in terms of market to the gemstones, the fluorescence may have a positive or a negative impact in terms of value to the gemstone. When I say value, please, in this case, it's better if we take the meaning of value not in terms of money, but in terms of appreciation of the dealers first and then also the final consumer. In case of ruby, we may say it's positive because the abundance of chromium can increase the perception of the red. I mean, can induce high fluorescence and can increase the perception of the red. In the diamond, we know the tradition is exactly the opposite. If we have a strong fluorescence, it doesn't matter at the end of the color. The strong fluorescence text in the certificate is killing the value and so on is killing the price too. Correct.
And my another question is, We can play with the proportions for the colored gems to.
Absolutely, yes. The key is the critical angle, as we said before. No, every single species. Okay, we are talking about species now, so corundum, beryl, quartz, and so on. They have their own specific critical angle. For a polisher, for a cutter, it's important to know that and to follow it. Okay, like exactly the same story of diamond. That's why now I don't want to say something that may hurt some of you, but forgive me if I do. That's why to be a polisher, a cutter and a polisher of colored gemstones should be specialized in few of them, not all of them. Mm? Okay.
I'm the one of. I'm also.
So
Like,
you will
at one
forgive me then.
point, I'm also one of the. And my another question. Yeah, you are done. Yeah. Yes. Uh, is it any impact lab grown diamond on the natural gemstone? Like a treated, color treated?
What do you mean? You mean in the marketplace?
No,
In
no,
the
that is a
market?
different
Uh,
story. But the color differentiation, like a ruby, is the treated CVD or the natural?
okay. No, we didn't talk about it, I know, but remember, all the stones, for example, we mentioned today, may have the color due to a treatment. Normally, a treatment can simply enforce the original color or can even literally also modify totally the color of the stone. Okay, kunzite, since it's one of my favorite, it's typically treated. To find the natural pink kunzite uh, uh, can be a challenge, literally a challenge. Aquamarine. Aquamarine it wasn't our list, but since we talk about feelings and emotion and traditions, aquamarine is coming from very far in the past, and the original color in our culture, global culture, was green and blue 50-50 in very light tone, like
That's all.
the color of the sea. Aquamarine means exactly, aqua means water, marine,
What?
the sea. Okay, so and now the aquamarine must be blue, but to have that blue in aquamarine, we only have one chance, one way, treatments. Simply. Okay.
That's it. Can you go for one more question? If nobody is on.
Yes, but the last one, and then we leave the room to someone
Okay,
else.
okay.
But go,
No,
shoot, shoot,
yeah,
shoot.
yeah. Now, why all the color zones they polished as the fancy shapes instead of the round to improve that color concentration or what? Mostly.
Sorry, sorry, I didn't get you. Know, tell me again.
Yeah, I will get back to you. You can take the call from other
No,
one.
no, no.
Yes.
Tell me again. Tell me again. Tell me again. I didn't get.
Why yes, why all the color gems they polished as a fancy shapes like oval, pear, and other
Uh-huh.
shapes instead
Uh-huh.
of the round to improve the color or what?
Yes. No. I would say two main reasons. First of all, because it's the same reason of fancy colored diamonds and fancy shape. It's typical combination because it's fancy, it's attracting more the people, and yes, can be also a necessity to use better to use completely all the portion available in the raft. Mm. Okay,
Ah,
and because then let me say one more thing because round at the end is the shape of endless love in diamonds. You know, the diamond is the stone the man should gift. Let me be very traditional. You will forgive me also for that. The man should gift the woman, and the size, my dear man, should be always 2 carat round. 200, perfectly 200 carat, 2.00 carat round. This is the most romantic symbol of love a man can gift the woman. Okay. But
ah,
sometimes we forget or we don't want to remember because our wallet is not big enough for 2 carat diamonds. Okay.
thank you. You can take the call from another. Thank you very much.
Thanks to you. It's a pleasure. More questions? I see the ladies laughing. Don't laugh. Okay. More question? No more question. My kids are very
All,
silent.
Fabio. Ciao Fabio.
Alberto. Okay. I
Allora,
was saying why my kids are
congratulations
so
Fabio.
silent.
You always make the lesson exciting with your passion.
Thank you, Alberto. Thank you. Thank you very
I have
much.
very hard questions. It's possible find the red zoisite like tanzanite or no?
No, wait. No, because the Zoisite doesn't have a red variety. But, there is a special association between zoisite, green zoisite, opaque green zoisite, and ruby. Okay.
Okay,
So this kind of, gemologically speaking, exclusively gemologically speaking, this kind of variety is called ruby in zoisite.
okay,
So the
okay.
species is a zoisite, and the variety is called ruby in zoisite.
Rubin
But
zoisite.
yeah,
Okay.
yes, but don't think the value of the ruby is high. Yeah, it's very normally the ruby is not even a single crystal; it's an aggregate. So many crystals of ruby all together. They are not. No,
Okay.
most of the time it's not transparent. It's opaque. If you are lucky, it's translucent, but it's opaque. Can come in big size. This is why many times it's used to scam, literally to deceive the people, because it's sold like 10 kg of ruby when it is a ruby in zoisite without the zoisite. Let's say that.
Okay, okay.
But it's very low, poor quality of ruby, extremely
Yes,
low, poor
yes.
quality of ruby. Okay.
Because this year in Vicenza there are one stand show one small pieces like 70 points is calling red zoisite. It's very strange for me find this stone.
Look, there are some failure in treating tanzanite. And me too, I saw red
Usually
color
it's
in zoisite, but
microismo, no?
yes, but it's coming
It's
from
microismo,
the
but it's only the
failure.
flash. It's only a
Uh,
flash with the red,
yeah, but I
not the
told you,
color.
me too, I saw some red, but not really red, but it's more purple, it's reddish purple.
Purplish, yes.
It's zoisite, but it's not a species, not a variety of zoisite. It's a failure in the treatment of the zoisite to reach the color of tanzanite.
Oh,
Okay.
okay, okay.
Then, if it is a matter of pleocroism, then it's not red. It's impossible. The pleocroism
Impossible,
of
eh?
tanzanite goes from violet to blue to purple. Can be
Yes,
also a
yes.
brown color. It can be also a yellow color. It depends on maximum three colors. I mentioned all because just to give you the full range. Maximum three because the joystick is trichroic crystal.
Yes.
Okay.
Perfect.
Okay. More
Thank you so much.
questions? No questions? No party?
Hello, hi. Am I audible? Good evening, everyone.
Yes. Yes. Hello. Hello to you.
So I just give an introduce for myself. I am from Jaipur. My name is Haider. So my question from you is on about the ox blood corals. So as I connected through the seminar, you have given all the origins for every each color stones like kunzite, garnets, rubies, and all the pinks, gemstones, which you are talking on the theme. So, how about the coral? You didn't mention the origins,
Mm,
and what is the call on corals about the treatments? Any treatments like same like other stones, heat or any type of fracture filling? So
okay.
I'll give you now. So you just
Okay, Haider. Yes. Basically, I would say the historical. We didn't say, but let me say now. For every single variety, so now we talk about specifically the variety. We have the historical source, and then we have also the most important modern, I mean, actual source. Just to shock you a little, because I always like to shock my kids in the classroom, saying that the historical source of emerald is Egypt. Okay, but of course, the most important modern actual source of emerald we know it's Colombia. Okay. For coral, for red coral, I would say, sorry, no, let me be a little bit more large in what I'm saying. For all calcareous coral, so red, white, pink, etc., the historical source is the Mediterranean Sea, and the most important modern actual source is the Mediterranean Sea. It doesn't mean, again, we cannot find it in other places, in other localities. Okay. Just a matter because in gemology we really care about these definitions. So it's important to keep in mind that the historical source of calcareous coral is Mediterranean Sea as the most modern, the actual source. Why we care a lot about these things? Because it's a grading again. Maybe with the coral you may not feel it, but if I say this ruby is coming from Mogok, and this ruby is coming from Windsor, Tanzania, you will understand me immediately. Okay, how much is important to say Mogok historical source? Okay, Mogok is in Burma, in Burma, in the modern Myanmar. Okay. Okay. More question?
Yes, how are
Bonifacio.
you? Okay.
Okay. Bo- Johan, Manuel, go. You wanted to ask something, but you are mute. Okay.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you, why was the red spinel confused with ruby
Be-
before?
mhm.
And
Because
when was it that they started making the difference between the two stones?
Okay. Let me start from the last one. We are in the second half of the 18th century. So we are in the 1860 something, 70 or so, when we start really understanding the differences in terms of chemistry, in terms of crystal structure, and so on. Confusion is coming because the first red spinel were mined in Burma, exactly from where the most important rubies came in the past. Same source. Same source, and where you have some chronicles mentioning same mines. I am same mine. I don't want to take it as 100% correct, but in terms of chronicles, in terms of historical books and mention, yes, we also can see that. Okay. I prefer to say same place, same region, and same country. So in this case, Burma, Myanmar.
Okay, thank you.
To you. More question? No question?
I would like to know. Hello. I would like to
Okay.
know. I would like to know. So, what's your favorite stone?
Gemstone.
Is it kunzite?
Kunzite is among the first three, no doubt. Okay. So kunzite is there. It depends on my mood, but kunzite is there. But my really first stone, and not because of the color, it's the topaz. Topaz is my favorite stone because my grandmother, I was a kid, and she gave me this beautiful brown topaz. Normally used to call it cherry topaz. And from that moment, to me, gemstones became a star to follow. Okay. So for that reason, topaz is my favorite. But I like, basically, I have to be honest, I like all the red gemstones. Ruby. I have an antipathy. I mean, ruby is boring to me because always talking about ruby, 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 ruby. You saw the zircon, for example. No, it was amazing, amazing stone, red zircon, or the spinel, or even the rhodolite, the purplish red or purple red of rhodolite is crazy. It's so beautiful. Mm. uh, we can mirror ourselves in the stone, in the gemstone. Again, let's close and restart. If you are able, I don't know if you are selling gemstones or if you are buying gemstones, so take it according to your clothes, let's say that. But if we are able to read the person in front of us, we can really sell everything if you understand the personality, the mood in that moment, everything about the person in front of us. So it's important for a seller to make the final consumer talk, to find the way, the keys, to enter in the psychology of the final consumer. Because once you get the key information, then really you can sell everything. Of course, it's always a matter of wallet. If the wallet is big, you can be very happy if you're selling. If the wallet is small, you are less happy, but okay, fine. Okay. Okay. More
Thank you.
questions? My pleasure. My pleasure. More questions?
Yes, I have another question. Is this going to be recorded to us to see it?
Yes, of course. You will find it on YouTube. I would say it's a matter of 5, 7 days, and you will find it on YouTube, in our channel, of course.
All right. And another question: the red barrel. Have you ever seen one?
I did. It was very small. It was small, half centimeter, so 0.5 centimeter, 5 millimeters. I didn't understand.
How
It
was
was
it?
it was crazy beautiful, and I bought it. I put it in my personal collection of minerals, and still there. It's still there.
Was it expensive?
It was expensive. So for a very tiny thing, it was 2000. 2000. I still was in Italy, so it was 2004, maybe 2003, something like that. The
Which
amount
stone,
was
Fabio?
200 euros, something like that. A red barrel, a big spite, big SBI,
Ah,
big
Big
spite.
Only 200
one.
euros.
Yeah, but I thought it was very tiny, yeah? Very tiny. Just to see
Half
it,
a
to look
carat,
at it.
200 euros.
No, I don't know. Per carat, I cannot say. I don't know. I thought it's half centimeter rough crystal. Half centimeter.
Okay.
I
Okay.
thought it was more expensive.
If you find bigger and even polished, it is deadly expensive, not simply more expensive. Okay. Yes, of course it is. It's much more
Thank,
expensive.
I believe in
thank you.
Okay. More questions? You are not asking
I
me about because I did a bet with my colleagues. They said if they bet on the fact that I may receive a question about if I have an headache, what kind of stone I have to put on my head. So you didn't ask me that.
I have one more question here.
Yes, I did. I there. Yes.
So my other question is for spinels. So as all of the people here are either from gem trade or jewelry or diamonds, so everybody knows it's like rubies, sapphires, and emeralds treatments are like heat. For emeralds, it's oiling. What is your call on spinels? Because we never got to know for color enhancement or heat or no heat. Is there are treated
Okay.
spinels in market or
Yes, there are.
for color
There are.
enhancement? Does it?
Either. There
Yeah,
are.
please.
Either. There are. There are. There are. Unfortunately, there are. There are. Can be heat treatment. Mm. But so yes, it's possible. Yes, unfortunately, it's possible. I was reading a statistic about 2023. So we have to go back 2 years more or less. And the majority of the treated spinel were pink, not red, pink. Okay. In 2020, in 2024. 2024.
Okay.
Okay. So the answer is yes. Yes.
So how about for reds, like as you told for pink? So
Technically speaking, the heat treatment is possible, and so yes, we have to be careful. Yes, we have to be careful. It's
because
always a matter of analysis, no? Looking for the information, the data, the evidence, and then declare or not declare the treatment.
Because if somebody wants to buy a ruby, like a natural ruby, they want to dig for the details, for the origins, for the treatments. But as you know, like if it comes to spinels, like it's not that much in terms of the prices. Since recent years, the prices is going up for the spinels as well.
Yes,
But
say that. It's exactly that the key to read the future. Starting from the point that the price is going up. So when the moment a stone is taking the floor, the worldwide floor, because it's very famous, it's getting very famous in the world, then all the consumer is asking for more, let's say, more check, more control. So it's the moment for the labs to do their part in the story. So to start having more profile of analysis, better profile of analysis, better system, and so on. Okay, so it's not only for the spinner what we may predict for the future. It's for many gems, Not ruby, as you said, because ruby is famous, blah 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 blah. Emerald, all the stories, etc. Okay.
All right. Thank you. Thanks so much.
My pleasure. Okay. If you don't, I say it very slowly, so in case you can stop me. If you don't have any more question, we are going to close our seminar.
I would
Yes.
just like to.
I knew it.
Sorry. Is it zircon radioactive?
No.
Is it
No.
it dangerous for human beings?
No. Are you talking about the mineral or the gemstone?
The gemstone.
No. Then no.
Oh,
Then no.
okay.
Then confirm. Mineral can be another story. The crystal, rough crystal mineral can be another story. And when we talk about gemstone, no, unless there is a crazy dealer, really someone without any self-control. But zircon is not so common and famous enough to do these things. No. So the gemstone, the polished, let's put it this way, let's use the proper language. The polished zircon, no. Well, maybe, we don't also have that many stones, maybe, but not dangerous for men. Let's say that. Not dangerous for the human.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you all. Really, thanks a lot to all of you. I hope to see you one day in person, to hug all of you personally one day. And
excuse me, can I ask you a last question?
Shoot, Manuel, shoot.
Did you or did you not mention a book that we should read about something? I'm not sure if I misunderstood.
No, I didn't mention, Manuel.
Okay, all right.
You can do some research online, even because there are not books giving so global view about the myth, the legends, so on for the gemstone. Okay. So it's better if you follow your personal taste. So you like red, you like ruby, go deep in it. Okay. Just Google is more than enough. And then if you really find something that you love with all of yourself and you want to know really more and you got a book, also read a book. Because reading is always the best way. I mean, reading a book is always the best way.
Thank you.
My pleasure. Okay, so I wish to all of you a great Saturday, because Saturday is a San Valentine. So I wish to all of you to enjoy with your love, your partner the day. And if you don't have a partner, to find it very soon if you want a partner. Okay, so thank you very much to all of you, and see you at the next seminar. Okay, bye
Ciao
bye.
Fabio, grande, grazie.
Ciao a voi,
Ciao.
bye bye.